Okay, here we are again, Enlightened Living with the Scorpio and the Aquarius. So, today we're going to tackle blood group diets. This is something that I was introduced to by you, and it's very fascinating. We'll talk about it.
So yeah, this is something I came across probably a couple of years ago, and I was kind of like, I don't know, whatever, because we were doing our own like detoxing, put together a whole detox plan, which I'll put a link to in our description, to our website where we talk about our detox experience in our book that I wrote about it. It has our detox plan on it. If you are interested in detoxing the body or learning about how we did it, but and then so let's see, and then I looked into Ayurvedic, kind of the doshas, the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha doshas of the Ayurvedic system. And then recently, just because I came across the blood group diets or blood group eating styles or whatever, and decided we wanted to try that out. So we did a 1 month trial on adjusting our eating for these blood groups just to see what would happen. So a little bit of background. So I grew up vegetarian. As an adult, I kind of was a meat grazer with obviously vegetables. And then when we got married, a few years after, we decided to go uh, cold turkey vegetarian. And we did our detox around that time too. And I would say after that period of time, I probably felt the best I'd ever felt. And we were trying to go more of a sattvic diet, which is it's like a Hindu diet. So there's a lot of foods we had eliminated or kind of gone down on as far as our consumption. So it was like yeast and mushrooms and some other things. And I would say like the first year of being vegetarian, we felt really good. But then we kind of trickled back in, let other foods come in, and then because you take out a main source of or a main type of food, you go to just vegetables, right, and dairy and whatever, you tend to eat a wider variety of things. We added in quite a big variety of different vegetables and whatnot. And I would say over the years, definitely something felt off to me. I wasn't quite sure where it was exactly. Um, I'm usually someone who tends to keep muscle mass pretty good, I think. And I know it was just kind of like weird. I mean, I had 2 kids. I was like, well, maybe it's like a belly. Why is my belly keep coming in going weird? Like we would do our fast, and I'd feel really, really good, and then like, almost immediately afterward, when we start eating regular food again, I kind of feel that sluggishness come back. Which previously, when we like first began being vegetarian and detoxing, like it wasn't like that. So it was like something's off, and I didn't really know what it was. That's what made me look a little bit more kind of deeper into let's find something fun to do. So now you can tell your story real quick.
So for me, I started off pretty much my whole life was eating garbage style foods and lots of different meats and whatnot. And then, as you were saying, that we switched over to cold turkey, going straight into vegetarianism, and which was actually really good because I felt way better really quickly afterwards. And then as we transitioned into the eating, we went, as you were saying, sapphic, and then we always tried to make sure. In the beginning, we didn't go too hardcore into it, but it was like we were mostly looking for organic or non-GMO. Now that's pretty much exclusively what we look for, and growing our own. And so it's like after eating the vegetarian food for a while, it's like there's still something a little bit off. Felt a lot way better than I did, but there's still, as you're saying, something not quite right. Um, Kind of felt like this heaviness to me, but it wasn't it wasn't too apparent until like as we continued on. Like after a couple of years of being vegetarian, it's like, well, there's still something that needs to change. We just need to kind of figure it out, and that's when you introduced the idea of the blood group diets.
Yeah, so blood group diets is from Dr. Adamo, and we can put a link to the website that we go. Then there's a book out, obviously several books out, and there's a website that you can look at and kind of line up with. There's a lot of controversy. It seems like when I was doing research, at least, about these blood group foods because people kind of are like, well, we don't know the research behind it. Like, it seems like, faulty research or scientific evidence and blah, blah, blah. What I want to say to that is that I mean, I can see where he's coming from it. It's like the ancestral lineage of blah, 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 which um, there's a lot of misconception in general about where our origins come from anyway. A lot of scientific evidence, a lot of misinformation, there you go, around where our origins come from. But still, there's something to the blood group information because you're A type and I'm O type, and actually our blood groups kind of line up sort of with we did the dosha test to see which dosha types for the Ayurvedic system we were, and it kind of lined up with like the diets recommended for like the types of food recommended for like our doshas too. So there's a little bit of there's a little bit of relation there, obviously. It's sort of just another way to figure out how to treat your body the best way, I think. But then anyway, so yeah, there's something to it because when you're looking at people's, so I don't really care so much about, quote, scientific research, because as we know, scientific research can be skewed. If you have enough money, you can put anything into a scientific paper and make it look, fancy and awesome and look like everyone should do it, right?
Definitely.
So I don't pay too much attention to what the quote research says. I more look at people's actual experiences and like anecdotal evidence, basically. And so, there's mostly, it seemed like, two stark differences of people. There are the vegans and vegetarians. It seemed like a large group of them, mostly, that kind of called trash on the whole thing because the blood group diets recommend eating meat for some of the blood groups. And then so they're like, oh, they're just trying to promote meat eating. Obviously, this is stupid, blah, blah, blah. This is no research behind this, is blah, blah. Okay. The other group of people that have actually tried the diets and went for it seemed to have the most amazing results ever. Like, it changed their life. All their diseases went away, yada, 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 and they would never do anything different, pretty much, for the most part. So, obviously, it's something we had to look into for ourselves. I always recommend when you come across something and you have any, like, guessing or whatever about it, like, try it for yourself. Don't just go off what other people say. Experience is more valuable than what you read. Okay. Do you want anything to add to that?
Definitely, that's something that people need to take in consideration. Um, we've done tons of research. You are actually a scientist yourself. That numbers can be skewed in any way, especially whatever is popular or whatever can be used to kind of hinder people's growth as people, especially when it comes to nutrition. That's one the field that's all over the place. Um, Definitely when it comes to experience, get an idea through personal accounts from other people, but experiencing yourself and actually seeing how you feel and kind of like recording that and like thinking about it, definitely the best way to go. No one's going to know you better than you.
Good. So we started about 4 weeks ago. We just decided, you know what? Let's do this. Basically, let's look at both of our blood groups, and we're just going to cut everything out of the groups that are. So there's three main categories of food. There's the foods that are harmful to your blood group, potentially harmful depending on. Usually, it causes inflammation. It reacts weird with your digestive enzymes, and it causes some kind of inflammation in the body and other things. So there's the harmful groups of food. There are the beneficial groups of food, which are very beneficial to your blood group. And then there's the neutral, which those foods, they usually say don't take too much of it. You can have it here and there, basically. So we basically got rid of pretty much all of the harmful and neutral stuff for the most part throughout the 4 weeks. And I would say that our results were pretty interesting. There's definitely something to the blood group diet, blood group eating style, I guess. I don't really call it a diet. The blood group eating style. So do you want to start a little bit?
Definitely. For me, there has been foods in my life that I kind of gravitated towards because they always made me feel a little bit better. And a lot of the ones that I gravitate towards that I didn't even really think about. There's things like like black beans, or like I didn't really even eat lentils until after I met you. And then every time you made lentils, I just gobbled them up. I absolutely loved them. And then there was
Lentils one beneficial foods for
it
you.
is one of my beneficials. And then there's like oats. I really loved onions, like carrots. Like there's different things that like I could just like go eat, and people are like, "What? You're just gonna just eat a carrot, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's something about it. I just like it."
And just to say the A
A
group,
type.
right? So there's four main blood groups. There's B, AB, and O. Your A is the group that,
Vegetarian.
yeah, they strive on a vegetarian diet, high vegetarian diet. O group is the typical, is the carnivore of the four groups, the ones that they, or omnivore. I don't know if you call how do I say? They call it carnivore, but you're really an omnivore. But high protein, high meat eating group is the O group. So that's what I am. But go ahead.
But yes, so there's different foods that I kind of gravitated towards, even though I grew up on like lots of processed foods and meats and whatnot. So I so I found that these foods, like that, after I started eating them, when we switched over to these pretty much exclusively, we mostly stayed on what was the most beneficial for us
For
during
those 4 weeks,
for the
yeah.
for the 4 weeks, and I started to feel worlds better. It was a little bit difficult at first, just trying to get used to the, because we didn't have like all the foods we typically should have on our beneficial list, so we had to kind of like slow down on, all right, we're on what we're eating. We're like, okay, we can't eat that one, we can't eat that one, can't eat that one. But we started gathering some more of the different foods, and overall, I started to feel lighter. I had a clear head. My aches and pains in my joints and my muscles and everything like that started to alleviate themselves. It's like I overall felt really good, really strong, very light, and even my irritability was getting less. My energy was going up, and I usually take pretty good care of myself already. Anyways, I go to the gym pretty regularly. I eat really quote unquote healthy because it's a weird vegetarian. Everything is pretty much organic, and all these things were what quote unquote is supposed to be the best for you. But switching over to this made me feel even better. And I can't like really equate to like the difference in it. It was just an amazing experience afterwards, and it's like now I'm gonna just continue to follow these beneficial things and occasionally kind of deviate just for like every now and again, just because there's certain foods that I really like. I'm not supposed to eat anything spicy, but I do enjoy spicy food, so it's like there's gonna be times where I deviate, but overall I'm gonna be sticking with this because everything ended up being a positive, and I can't just go back just because like, well, some of the foods tasted really good. I have to. I need to do this because it just isn't such an amazing thing for me personally.
And so I would say too that after change making, we decided so we're gonna stop on day one, right? So day one, by the end of day one, I could feel differences in myself. That's how immediate these changes were for us, at least. Maybe I would say like if it took like a week or two of our slow changes, maybe I could be like, well, maybe it's something else that's that we've changed that's causing these differences. I don't know, but it was so immediate that it was the food. The first day, by the end of the first day, my digestive. Okay, so I'm pregnant right now, and so my digestion is a little off anyway. But I was kind of at the stage where nausea is pretty much gone, but I still have like a weird aftertaste in my mouth when I eat foods, and also my stomach feels like my digestion kind of feels like it was slowed down or like stagnant or like fermenting or something. But I was basically taking like baking soda water after every meal just to kind of help alleviate that feeling of like gut stagnation or whatever it was. Um, and pretty, I would say immediately, like that same day, that end of the same day, the weird after flavor of my mouth went away. Um, and that stagnation feeling was gone. Going from taking baking soda water after every meal to only taking it probably 2, maybe 3 times a day versus like 8 to 10 times a day. Yes, I eat that often. um, it was pretty significant, and just not having that stagnation feeling in my gut anymore. By the next day, So throughout, kind of, especially, and I don't know if this made it just more noticeable. Right now, it's just I had this kind of feeling of like inflated. My body felt sort of inflated. I mean, I know I am pregnant, but it was like different. It's like almost like I felt like a pincushion a little bit. That completely went away. Like that was very interesting. I kind of felt like not bloat overall, but like my cells were like inflamed and distended or something like overall over my whole body. Um, so like this pincushion feeling. I don't really know how to describe it, but that was gone by the next day, and I'm starting to get my muscle tone back. Um, and then also a big change is that my energy level, like went way up. Like I felt like I still had to nap a lot through the day. Now I just have to lay down to rest like my feet and stuff. But I'm not tired really anymore, except for in the evening. um, but my energy level shot way up. And also there was kind of a little bit of a mental, not really fog. And I also want to clarify too that like especially like with your joint pain and your like when we went did our detoxing and went to vegetarianism like 4 years ago. We there was such a significant change between how we used to be to that after we did our detoxes. This was another big change to for it to be significant enough. Um, and okay, where was I going with that? Uh, um, okay, yeah. So, because if you do go to our website and read about, it, we talk about joint pains and like mental fog and stuff like that. It's not like how it was before. So, this time around, it's just something subtle that seemed to be off, like we explained at the beginning of the video. So, that subtleness of what was off with our bodies subsided. So yes, the mental clarity was even more. I was kind of getting a little irritable here and there. Um, in general, I feel like, um, but I feel more like even tone now. Like my mental status is very even tone, not like how it was. I don't know. So those were pretty immediate changes. Like it took a day or two to get to these changes. And then since then, it's just kind of been, I feel good afterward for the most part. Um, so I would say that to me, like I said, if it was more of a slow change, it'd be kind of maybe questionable. I don't know. But because it was so immediate, I can't really argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I even noticed the changes in you, like seeing you even by the second day visibly, because you have a lot of not really a lot of skin issues, but like your dry skin, and sometimes your skin gets inflamed, which a lot of that went away with our detoxes that we did several years ago. But there's still kind of the here and there skin inflammation, and that seems to have gone down even more if it can even do that, right? Like
Yeah.
your skin looks really good. Um, it's really interesting. Any more you want to add there?
No, that's definitely a truthful thing. Is because like even after we went vegetarian, even with the detoxing and whatnot, it's like I'd still get like kind of dry skin every now and again on my eyebrows, and like when my beard would come in and stuff like that, like it'd be like dry and flaky. But now it pretty much doesn't do that at all. And like the inflammation in my skin, sometimes like something's rubbing against my skin, I'll get like a little bit red and it'll puff up. And now, if it does do that, it's very minimal and it goes away pretty quickly. It's like, yeah, it's just another one of those things where it's like, wow, okay, that happened after pretty much like day one or day two of switching over to the type A eating, and it, I was like, okay, so there's definitely something to this. So I think people should at least check it out and see how it goes for them, because it's like it's for us to acknowledge that it was something that we noticed means it if you actually follow it, there's gonna be something you notice as well, because like um, we are pretty aware of trying to be like trying to help people eat and feel the best they possibly can. So we're not gonna just like buy into anything just to like, oh yeah, goji berries or superfoods. No, we don't do that kind of stuff. We are trying to help people actually kind of like be the best they can be. So this is definitely something you should probably look into and try out. At the minimum, try it out and see where it takes you.
Yeah, and so I kind of just want to briefly go through some of the foods we had to cut out. So O and A type, for them, there's a lot of foods, similar foods that we had to cut out. Both of us couldn't eat. So a lot of some of the big ones were wheat. That was a big one we were eating almost every day. Um, and wheat, so breads and stuff like that. Dairy was one we were eating quite a lot. See, the thing is, what's interesting is if you actually listen to your body, like some of these like red zone foods for my type were foods that I didn't really gravitate toward much anyway. I would just eat them because we had them, but you almost feel like your body doesn't want to eat them. Like olives is on the list for me. I'll just name a few. Olives, breads always made me feel a little bit weird. I didn't really eat a lot of dairy. Just something felt off with it for me. I don't know. Peanuts is not something I ate a lot of. There's some other ones. Um,
Any seasonings or anything?
Not too much. I mean, there's cinnamon and like some other ones, but I'm not sure
You
if I.
never really liked oatmeal.
Oatmeal, that's a big one. I feel like my food aversions, especially when it goes to these blood group diets, went up even more while I was pregnant. Like I used to eat oatmeal here and there, and I only like oatmeal a certain way. It has to be cold oatmeal, soaked with lots of chocolate in it and stuff. But during my pregnancy, I couldn't handle oatmeal at all. Corn is a big one too. That especially during pregnancy, it just did not sit well on my stomach. And those are two big ones for me: corn and oatmeal, and corn for both of us actually. Um, some of the different types of beans, like pinto beans. I like beans though, pinto and kidney beans, but I always didn't. I liked pinto beans. I actually ate that the most, but that was something that's on my no bean list. uh, but basically, I just wanted to bring up that if you actually kind of pay attention to what your body is, the signals your body is giving when you eat a certain food or eat certain foods, it actually, or at least for us, I feel like it was kind of giving us some kind of signal of what it really wanted and what it didn't. Because like I said, I always felt weird after eating like bread and stuff like that. So the signs, basically, what I'm getting at is that I feel like the signs were there all along, and we could say it's coincidental, but there's too many. When we get down to the similar things between us, there's also a lot of differences between the foods that we can actually eat and can't eat, and within those differences, those make sense too. As far as what I can take and what you can take and what we can't take. Because there are some differences. Like I can take more spicy food than peppers. You can't. Anytime you've eaten spicy food, it's always made you get like more heartburn or hiccups. And I really like spicy food. another one was because we were big advocates of like apple cider vinegar. Vinegars are off the list for us, and we actually feel them way better without using vinegar, because I would use it for indigestion or like maybe mild heartburn. We use baking soda water now, which works much better, and it doesn't make me feel weird. But I really liked vinegar, like salad dressings, and but still I didn't really go for vinegar. Like it's still, there's something off about it. Even now thinking about it, like there's something. Maybe it's the fact that it was vinegar, right? But basically, after removing that, I obviously feel better. For my salad dressings, I just use lemon juice now, and it tastes delicious. So I don't really miss vinegar now. So yeah, just little interesting things like that. Listening to your body, because I think it is steering you in some sort of well, it is steering you in some sort of direction. But yeah, like what you were saying, like this is what our experience was, and it was too significant of a change in a positive direction pretty quickly to not give some sort of like credit to the changing of the food consumption. I do want to mention one other thing, because a lot of with me being the old group that is supposed to be high carnivore, I do want to say for those vegetarians and vegans out there, you can still try this diet out and still be vegetarian and vegan. I'm still vegetarian. This did not make me want to go back to eating meat. You can just obviously you can make adjustments within the groups of foods. There's lots of high protein, beans or vegetables that you can add more of into your overall diet that can give that high protein that you need as an O group, if that's really the case, right? So you just give it a try, even if you're vegan or vegetarian. Don't be discouraged, even if you're vegan or vegetarian. Is basically what I want to say. um, Another thing, yeah. So I don't really know. It's not like we're saying this is the holy grail or anything. They could be still questionable, quote science, but speaking from the experience of it, there's something to it, obviously, and give it a try. Like what you said, I would highly recommend as well to give it a try. At least give it a try. Um, Anything else here? Because I think there's something else I wanted to say. So maybe if you talk a little bit, you're like, nope, I don't have anything else to say.
I can talk about something.
Okay.
Because even for like for my blood group, the type A, it's like there's like for you, like you didn't like oatmeal, but when I was a kid, there's two different types of cereal things that I would always eat first. While other people like were kind of like, I don't want that. I'd be like oatmeal and like rice cereal. I wouldn't be adding any sugar or anything to it at all. It'd just be like that's just what I would eat. I'd eat it straight out of the box for like the rice cereal, and like oatmeal. If I put anything into it, it might be like a tiny bit of maple syrup or something like that, and like that's just what I was like, yeah, this is good. I like this.
So you were really into
Yeah.
oats early, and rice. That's
Yeah.
another one on both of our list. A beneficial food is rice, and then oats are good for you.
Yeah, and it's like in the like I was saying, like I'd just go like eat, if we had carrots, I'd like go eat a carrot, which is like a kind of a weird thing when we had like mostly processed foods a lot. It's like we'd get carrots probably like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Like that's how rare it was, and that'd be like the thing that I'd be like, ooh, and I just go eat one, and like it's interesting because that's one of my beneficials on my list. So it's like it's just fascinating to see.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is that I think it's one of either neutral or not good for me, and I can do carrots. I've always been able to do carrots, but not very much, like at all. I mean, like I liked carrots. I mostly like them better, like steamed and flavored or something. But so actually, what I wanted to bring up is that so yeah, going from here on out, yeah, we're gonna stick to the recommendations and these blood group food eating habits for the most part. I would say probably like 90-95% sticking to it. Here and there, I think we'll still go off because it's fun to eat pizza, but mozzarella apparently is one of the cheeses that are kind of neutral for us. So every once in a while, I think going off of the group diet is fine, but once if you try it and you feel how good you feel, if you do feel really good afterward, you're not going to want to obviously steer too much. But like I said, every once in a while, just for fun, every once in a while, we're still going to go out and eat Indian food. I'll enjoy it. You will have heartburn afterward.
Well, after switching to this thing, like even when we ate Indian food recently, after we came off of the month, it's like I didn't really get heartburn. It did burn my tongue a little bit, like typical, but it's like I didn't have hiccups or heartburn or anything like that. So which was like a common thing that would happen to me. But this time it was just like, okay, that was spicy, and that was pretty much it.
Oh, so you think it probably being on this food type maybe even healed some of your like issues, which that's interesting too. So it's like and didn't make it so that it was like a continuous problem. You go back to and eat it, and then you flare up. Right? It's like it's healed some of your previous issues. That's interesting. So yeah, another big thing, of course, is bread, which some of our substitutes we've been looking at are like casserole flour. Spelt flour is one that's better, so we've been experimenting with those things. One of my high protein things that I really like is seitan, which we use obviously you have to use Vital Wheat gluten to make that. Especially when I'm pregnant, I really feel like I need a dense feeling of protein source, and seitan is kind of my go-to. And I actually throughout our 4-week experiment here, I did eat seitan like probably 3 or 4 times throughout it. But what I noticed is that I didn't really feel anything too off about eating it though. So I didn't feel not like if I would eat like bread or something like that. So I don't know if it's just because it's the gluten. They say it's the gluten in the bread that reacts and causes the bad reaction. So maybe I don't know. Maybe because it was mixed half with beans and what and other things, and maybe it didn't cause as much issues. I don't know, but seitan until I can find a better substitute. At least while I'm pregnant, it's gonna be something I'll probably go back to at least every week or two, just to keep up that dense protein need of growing other people. Another, let's see, I'm trying to think of another one that will probably sway on here and there.
When it comes to foods,
Yeah.
maybe like Mexican food or something like that.
Yeah. So it's not like a 100% strict, oh my God, we can never eat anything else ever again. But your body kind of, after the first week, like, it just felt really natural. And I don't miss any of the foods for the most part, besides the one we just mentioned. The ones we just mentioned. I don't miss a lot of the foods that we took out of our diet. So yeah, so good. Yeah, please have at it if you are into this kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, we have a good time. Otherwise, any other last, you do the closing statement.
Definitely look into it. It made us feel a lot better. It's like even the things that we're talking about, like we're like, oh, we're gonna deviate occasionally, get like pizza and whatnot. But it's like overall, we don't feel like, hey, you know what, I need to have this because I'm missing out. It's like no, we just enjoy different other foods than going out to eat. Most of the stuff we cook at home, it's just the experience of going out and trying some stuff. Like that's just one of the things we like to do. So we're not gonna just stop just because like we're. It's like overall we feel a lot better, and we're just gonna continue on the path we're going. All right, everybody.
Sounds good. Have fun and enjoy life, everybody.